And do you take turns administering CPR?
Yes.
And who else was helping to administer CPR then?
AFD.
And
Albuquerque Fire Department.
all right, thank you. And what was your partner doing? What was Rachel doing while this was going on?
I do not recall.
All right. And what is capnography?
Capnography is a device that reads what is blowing off the exhalation from our ventilations. It's reading carbon dioxide, CO2, and it's a byproduct of cellular respiration. It's showing how well the body's metabolism is working, and it gives us a value within there.
Did you use utilize anything to check Omari's capnography?
Yes, we did. I placed the capnography.
And what did you use?
We used a device that just goes on the end of the LMA that we used. So prior to this, I placed a laryngeal mask airway, which is a small mask that goes into the esophagus on top of the trachea to give us a better seal for better ventilations. And on the outside of that, it's a device that we put just so the air passes through it, and it will read the value of the CO2 coming off.
And so you're using then, correct me if I'm wrong, you're using two different devices to assist with the breathing, is that
Yes.
right? The LMA, and what was that stand for again?
Laryngeal mask airway.
And then the BVM?
Yes.
And what does that stand for?
Bag valve mask.
And so what is the bag valve mask doing compared to the laryngeal?
So the laryngeal mask airway is sitting in the esophagus on top of the trachea, so it's creating a seal around the trachea so we can get better ventilation. The bag valve mask is actually what's giving us the air, so we squeeze it and it actually gives the ventilation. And we attach the bag valve mask to the laryngeal mask airway to give the ventilation.
Okay. And what kind of readings were you getting for Omari that day as a result of the capnography?
I don't recall.
Was there a change at some point?
I do believe there was a change.
And do you have another term sometimes you use for a change?
We call it a spike in capnography, or an elevated capnography reading, or CO2 reading.
And did that happen here with Omari?
Yes, it did.
And what does that mean to you when that happens?
So if we're having a metabolic rate at, say, an interval of 20, and then we get up to 40, then that shows a change where the body's metabolism is functioning better. And so it gives us reason that either there's something else going on that is causing the body to work better, or the cellular respiration to work better.
And what does that mean? What does it mean that if you see that kind of a change?
It's possible that the patient has a heart rate that we cannot feel or palpate or auscultate. It's possible that the body is functioning again, just at a level that we can't see, but the body is giving off respiration that there.
And so, based on that's when you have those spikes, what do you do in response to that?
Well, in certain different situations, we'll call a doctor and we'll talk to them and give them what we see and go from there.
And what did you do in this case with Omar?
Rachel called the doctor.
All right. And what did that change your course of treatment?
We were instructed by the doctor to transport to the hospital.
Were there any other medications you were providing during the CPR?
I did not.
Okay. Did someone in part of the collective effort?
They, as far as without looking at the chart, I know we administered epinephrine.
All right. And what is epinephrine?
Epinephrine is adrenaline. It's a medication to stimulate the heart.
And how often are you able to give it?
Every 3 to 5 minutes.
Do you recall how many rounds you gave?
I do not.
Do you recall if the epinephrine was given at the house?
Yes, I know we gave some.
Was it also given during transport?
I do not know.
All right. We're looking at the chart. Oh.
Yes.
May I put you-
Thank you. Epinephrine was given en route.
I'm sorry. Oh,
It looks like
right.
epinephrine was given en route.
And again, if you could refresh your memory, approximately how, or if you could determine how many rounds of epinephrine were given.
Six rounds of epinephrine. There were 6 rounds of epinephrine given.
En route or at
2 rounds en route to the hospital.
And is that so?
Yeah.
And then 4 at the home. Is that what that means?
That's what it looks like, yeah.
Okay. And with looking at the chart, would it help refresh your memory about the capnography results as well?
Yes.
Any projection? What were the? Or if you could look and I'll have a question.
Our initial capnography meeting was 23 millimeters of mercury.
And what was the spike?
The spike was from 23 to 44.
All right. And I think you mentioned before that that kind of a change from the 20s to the 40s is indicative of something to you.
It's possible that there is a higher metabolic rate.
Okay. Now, you say that there was a decision made to transport. What is factored into that decision? You said part of it was the capnography. What else goes into your decision-making process?
Everything we've done. So we want to make sure we have an advanced airway, which with an LMA counts as an advanced airway. We do give advanced cardiac life support drugs. Epinephrine are those drugs. And then we also talk with the doctor about how long we've been performing CPR. And with all of those things in conjunction, we'll talk to the doctor.
And what vehicle did you transport Omari in?
In an ambulance.
Was it the ambulance you arrived in?
Yes, sir.
And while you were en route, what was your role?
I was driving.
Okay. How long had you been working with Omari before you decided to transport?
Look at the chart. Just about 20 minutes.
And do you recall how long it took you to get from Comanche to the hospital?
Not without looking at the chart. Looks like 9 minutes.
All right. And I referred to a hospital. Which hospital was that?
University of New Mexico.
And what did you do when you got there?
I assisted in pulling the patient out of the ambulance, taking him to the physicians that were waiting, and transferring the patient onto the ER bed.
And at that point, what happens?
At that point, I take the bed out, and that's it. I have no further patient contact.
While you were interacting with Omari, though, did you see any signs of trauma?
I did not. Actually, excuse me. I do remember an abrasion or something above the eyebrow. That's all I can remember.
Okay. You have a moment, Charter? Yes. Pass the witness, Charter. Cross-examination.
Afternoon. Oh, sure, Judge. Thank you. So, Mr. Johnson, you stated that when the call came in, it came in as unresponsive?
Unconscious, unresponsive.
Unconscious, unresponsive. Now, to someone who's trained, like an EMT or someone who works for the fire department, a nurse, a doctor, that means basically laying down on the ground and not reacting when you call them, correct?
Yes.
Now, unresponsive may mean something different to the average person who doesn't do this sort of work. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And you're specifically trained to treat someone who's unresponsive and unconscious differently than someone who's not breathing and has no pulse, right?
That depends.
Okay. But if someone's not breathing and has no pulse, it's a little more critical.
Well, unconscious, a person that is not breathing and doesn't have a pulse is also unconscious, unresponsive.
Right. So that's an additional thing to be concerned about if they don't have a pulse and they're
Yes.
not breathing, right? Yes?
Yes.
Okay. And would you call someone who's unconscious that someone who'd be down? Unresponsive, unconscious is someone who's down, unresponsive, unconscious, not breathing, no pulse would be down and out. Would you agree with that?
No. I
Okay.
think that unconscious and unresponsive is somebody that's not responding, like you said, and then unresponsive is somebody that does not respond to any stimulus.
Okay, so you shake them, you say, hello, can you hear me? You call their name, they don't respond.
Yes, that's
Okay.
unresponsive.
And that would be a difference in the way you render your care based on whether they respond to you or not, right?
Yes.
Whether they have a heart rate or not,
Yes.
whether they're breathing or not.
Yes.
Okay. And you don't know here how long this child was unresponsive, unconscious, not breathing, and without a pulse.
I do not.
Okay. We have a moment, Your Honor? Nothing further, thank you.
Can you redirect?
No, you're right.
That's been stepped down. Can we release this unit?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. Come get you. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please call your next witness.
Your, may we approach real quick?